Welcome to Studio Snack. I'm Lydia Thornley, designer, creative director and sketcher.
And I'm Narcisse Sauleda, and I won an allotment.
In my urban garden, I grow edible plants as well as flowers. The alpine strawberries and cherry tomatoes rarely make it indoors though. Their little fruits have intense little bursts of flavour, so I eat them like sweets. My first ever taste of homegrown food though was my mum's very first row of peas, and I ate some straight off the plant, straight from the pod, warm from the sun. They were delicious.
So that gave us this month's episode, Grow Your Own Snack. Lydia, you have some history.
Yeah, I've been looking up some trends around allotments. They date all the way back to Anglo-Saxon times, but as we know them, they come from the enclosures legislation of the 18th and 19th centuries. There was provision for the landless poor of what were called field gardens, which started off as rural, but urban versions started appearing in the late 19th century, and it spread with the growth of high-density housing that didn't have gardens. And it seems to have been big world events that caused spikes in allotment use. In World War I, there was a massive jump in them from 600,000 to 1,500,000. But after the war, many sites returned to their original use. Then it went back up again in World War II with the Dig for Victory campaign. Then again, it dropped back. And the traditional profile of allotmenteers used to be older men pottering around on their allotments, but it's broadened out a lot to include more women, early retirees, environmentally conscious younger gardeners, and community gardeners. And the pandemic, another hiatus of course, saw another big increase in demand. And now we have the cost of living crisis and food supply scarcity, and those are contributing to interest in growing food too. That's even had community food projects showing at this year's Chelsea Flower Show.
I looked up at the snack that grows in the woods. When I was little, I used to forage blackberries and arbustus berries. I don't know if you know what they are.
I've never heard of those, no.
They're quite like a size of a mulberry, but like very round. And they come from a tree called a strawberry tree. Very, very little times I've seen it in the UK. Very sweet. Foraging together with hunting was our means to live in the prehistoric times. In fact, Yuval Noah Harari tells us in Homo sapiens how in ancient foraging humans they used to live much more smaller populations, meaning that they didn't have to work as hard to sustain their societies, which means that they weren't as exhausted as they are in the modern world. Until the agriculture revolution, which rooted us into land and hard work, but that's another story. Let's stay with foraging. I tried to see what were the top 10 crops that were more foraged in the UK, but I wasn't very lucky with it. So I just asked ChatGPT, and it told me blackberries, elderberries, stinging nettles, wild garlics, slowberries, and mushrooms and asparagus were the kind of the top ones. Just a quick reminder, if you go foraging, what is the etiquette? And it's just make sure that you only pick up what you know.
Absolutely. In France, apparently, you have to take your mushrooms into the local pharmacy to have them checked for you.
That's sensible. And also just make sure to pick up just as much as you're gonna eat, and also leave quite a lot behind for other people, and more important, for the wildlife.
And I grow snacks for wildlife too. My holly tree seems to feed half the neighbourhood's birds, and I grow all sorts of plants as forage for the bees.
Nice. I've been thinking about branding. How can we persuade people who hate healthy snacks to look at a piece of fruit?
I feel an experiment coming on. Let's play.
Let's play.
So here I have two things. A grow your own pizza topping seed packet for tomatoes and basil in the shape of a wedge of pizza. And it turns out that it's such a good idea, everyone's done it. I haven't seen a pizza slice format, but I can't believe someone hasn't done it already. And I also have the most impractical piece of packaging I've ever designed, a sweet wrapper for an alpine strawberry. I sketched its pattern live from strawberries I arranged in my kitchen, which seems a bit niche, but I like making the pattern to highlight the difference in their size and shape. If I drew them out of my head, the temptation would be to make them all the same size. Alpine strawberries are incredibly delicate though. You have to be really, really careful when you're harvesting them. So in reality, they'd never withstand being packaged in this way, but it was fun doing it.
And it looks so pretty. So I stole one of your ideas and I designed grow your own ketchup, where at the back you've got the recipe of how to make ketchup. And then another idea that is possibly been done a million times is grow your own chips, which is basically a bag of potatoes.
I saw that done as a stall at an event I volunteered at once. It was incredibly popular.
That's fantastic. And then with this heat, the only thing I could think of is grow your own ice lollies. And of course they can be strawberries, lemon,
Mint.
That's a good idea. So what have we learned on design, Lydia?
Well, I think nature has a lot to teach us about packaging. Plants and trees encourage creatures, and that's us too, to eat the fruit, which would bring us on to poo, but this is a food podcast about design, so I won't go in that direction. And one of the interesting parallels with design too in growing things is that there's that element of unpredictability. There's seed, there's compost, there's climate. You have to be constantly watchful and adaptable, as we do in our design process. And of course there's naming too, varieties that you would grow, and then like any other product, I'm growing a cherry tomato variety at the moment called Midnight Snack.
That's beautiful.
Alpine strawberry.
Oh yes, please.
I've wrapped them incredibly carefully. I harvested them this morning and they're so delicate, and some of them are tiny.
This one is super tiny, but it's packed with flavour.
It's kind of tiny concentrated strawberryness. Yum. Join us next month for another studio snack.
Yes, and have a look at our experiments in our Instagram. We are Studio Snack. And also, I'll put the pictures up on our website. We are studiosnack.co.uk.
Bye, and happy snacking.
Bye. I need you to be higher with your microphone.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Fine.
I feel like Lionel Richie.